Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and staying safe during this time. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Like I said, thank you so much for checking me out. If you haven't done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button just right below the video. Cool, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks again for your support. I truly do appreciate having you here.
The SEC is once again trying to argue to the court that the SEC should not have to hand over the William Hinman Ethereum free pass emails. I think it's really starting to show how desperate they are to not hand over these emails, because when we go through this document, you're going to see that they are now blatantly lying and almost changing different people's quotes in order to desperately get out of handing over these emails. Let's break this down. And if you guys don't normally read these legal documents, typically the first place I look is the introduction and then the conclusion. This is typically where they really just break down the argument in a really easy way that's pretty simple to understand. So right here, they say, for the reasons set forth, the order answers any questions as to whether the SEC's internal documents are relevant to individual defendants, scienter, or not. So essentially, the SEC is trying to say here, and scienter means did Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson knowingly sell XRP as a security? So were they knowingly doing something wrong, which was, in the SEC eyes, selling XRP to the market? And they're trying to say that the SEC's internal documents surrounding whether XRP is a security should not be relevant to whether or not Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson were knowingly selling XRP as a security, and therefore the SEC should not have to hand over internal documents, because the SEC is saying or claiming it is not relevant to whether or not Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse were knowingly selling it as a security. So pretty much the SEC is trying to say their internal documents aren't relevant again. So if we scroll down, I just want to show you the conclusion real quick before I show you what different people are saying about this, because it's pretty crazy how quickly their arguments are now being picked apart by the community. And I think you guys are going to see this is more a desperation filing by anything else by the SEC. So they say at the end, the court should not order the production of the SEC internal documents, regardless of whether they are protected by DPP. The SEC's beliefs and supported by papers on pending motions show that the defendants cannot show that the internal documents are relevant to any of their defenses. So pretty much they're saying their internal documents are not relevant to whether or not Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson were knowingly selling XRP and knew it was wrong. So I want to start out by showing you this tweet from Wrath Economan. He says, very interesting, using the judge's ruling as leverage. They cite Solomon but leave out the part where he says that it is highly probative that we get discovery into the SEC's thinking, because as a key market participant, the SEC views go into the objective analysis. So what the SEC tried to do here is, at one point in this lawsuit, Ripple had said whether XRP is a security or not has to be objective, and the court agreed, and some rulings have already come through this lawsuit in which they said the standard has to be objective. The SEC is essentially trying to say here, because the internal documents relate to their decision making, they're not objective because they were never actually official, so how could it be objective? And they try to use a quote from Ripple's lawyer, but they cut the quote off and leave out the part where the Ripple lawyer literally says it is highly important that we get discovery into the SEC's thinking. So the SEC literally took a direct quote from one of the Ripple lawyers and purposely cut it off right where he explains to the court that this argument right here for what the SEC was thinking was actually critical to Ripple's decision making. I think this just shows that the SEC is fully willing to be as manipulative as possible, even if it literally means cutting off a quote right where it's about to disprove them wrong. I get it, why would they put this in here if it goes against their entire argument, but I think it's pretty funny that they were still willing to bring attention to this quote by leaving in the first part of it, and I think it shows that they're pretty desperate to gain any evidence or bring any evidence to the court in this case. Next, I wanted to show you guys this because I think it's another great example of the SEC just blatantly lying to the court in this document and being very manipulative. So what I'm about to do is completely disprove the statement they make right here, and I'm just a kid on YouTube. There is no way I should be disproving their legal arguments here. I mean, it just shows how weak these are and how desperate they are to essentially lie to the court and try to grasp onto anything they can at this point. So right here they say, arguing that the meeting with Commissioner Roisman left Brad Garlinghouse believing that XRP is in legal purgatory. So this is very subtle, but they're trying to say that when Brad Garlinghouse left with Elad Roisman and Jay Clayton, that Brad Garlinghouse left that meeting thinking XRP was in legal purgatory. So they purposely misconstrued Brad Garlinghouse's quote. He said in that meeting that he believed XRP was in a legal purgatory, but he left the meeting with the impression that XRP was not a security. It says right here in his deposition, in any of these meetings with the commissioners, did any of these commissioners tell you that they did not believe XRP was a security? And he says yes. So right here, the SEC is purposely twisting his words, and we got this information straight from the deposition of Brad Garlinghouse. He said that he left this meeting feeling like XRP was not a security. And what does the SEC do? They lie. They tell the court that Brad Garlinghouse left the meeting believing XRP was in legal purgatory. They're purposely twisting Ripple's words because they cannot get by with the evidence that has been given to them. They need to manufacture new evidence because their arguments are so weak. And this is a blatant lie. I mean, I was reporting on this a couple weeks ago. I was fully aware of it. And as soon as I saw this, I said, that's a lie. That's not what was said. And we have it from a deposition. That is so bad. And right here, I just wanted to point this out too. I mean, this shows that even the judge doesn't even agree with the statement the SEC is putting out here. He said setting aside abiding and abetting charges. In her initial ruling, Judge Knepper said that these emails are relevant for Howey analysis as well as for the fair notice defense. How does the SEC's new letter change this? So what he's saying is here, he says, just regardless of all the lies in here that the SEC has been saying, didn't the judge actually say these documents were relevant for different reasons either way? So even if what the SEC is saying is true here, the judge has already said that these emails are relevant to other parts of this case. So they're still relevant, even if the SEC's entire claim right here was true. He's saying it doesn't really matter because the documents would still be relevant. He's saying the SEC failed to account that the judge has already said that these emails are relevant for a lot of different reasons. Not even what the SEC argued here. And is he right? Well, John Dean says it doesn't. You're correct. He says, even if the judge was to take all these into consideration, all these lies the SEC that we pointed out, there's probably many more, they would still be relevant. So how does this really even mean anything to the case? And did the SEC just file this to delay? Possibly? Or are they just praying they can change the judge's mind? Well, I think what the SEC is going to find themselves, I think they're going to dig themselves into kind of a hole here. They keep on asking the judge to reconsider their prior arguments, and it's almost like telling the judge, like, hey, you're not getting this, you're not understanding this properly, listen to us. I don't believe this is going to go over very well with the judges, and I can't see them really appreciating the fact that the SEC is just blatantly lying to them in an attempt to twist their own arguments and try to convince the judges of something they have already ruled on with certainty. John Deaton says this is more evidence that this motion is the biggest one in the case. Like I said, the likelihood that there was one person in those 63 emails in 2018 while XRP and ETH were battling for the number 2 spots and replied, "What about XRP?" So he's saying that it's very likely that someone in this email chain asked about XRP, and the SEC cannot risk this information getting out. I mean, what I'm showing you guys is essentially the desperation that they cannot let this be seen. They know if this gets seen, that this entire case they have is essentially going to be blown to shreds, and it's going to be embarrassing for them to have to admit that they filed this case despite the fact that they knew this entire time XRP was not a security based on the own securities laws that they have laid out at their agency. I think it's pretty embarrassing here, and a lot of people on Twitter are already pointing out a lot of the kind of absurdities in this. There's one funny tweet here. It looks like I lost it. Essentially what they were saying is, why would the judges ever rule in the favor of the SEC here? And I think the only way they do is if they rule in favor of the SEC back on essentially here, and then say, but it doesn't matter, you have to turn them over anyway. Sometimes I've seen these courts, what they do is they like to throw the SEC a bone, give them a win, but then counteract that win with even more significant progress on Ripple's side. I believe that's possible here, but overall, I don't see any way this doesn't get completely picked apart.
I'm your guy. I will keep you posted. I'm your advocate. I'll be back on a daily basis, usually multiple times per day, with these videos to keep you updated with everything going on. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't done so, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Feel free to share any of my videos with your friends, family, social media, or anybody who may care to listen. Thanks so much for your continued support. I'm always here for you. I want to help you through this time. So thank you so much for continuing to choose me. Enjoy your day, stay safe, and I'll catch you again probably in a couple hours. Thanks, everybody. See you later.